Thank you for that. My name is Mbiko Banda, originally from Zambia. My background is in electrical engineering, particularly electrical power systems. I work for Africa GreenCo as an engineer and research lead, and mostly working on the battery energy storage system project, which is one space that we are actively engaging in and looking forward to expanding in that area. At the same time, I'm also a PhD student at the University of Mauritius, where I am pursuing a PhD in electrical power systems. Thanks a lot. So Africa GreenCo is a renewable energy trader. We are an aggregator at the same time, and our core business is electricity trading of electricity. So we are a member of the Southern African Power Pool, the first private sector member of the Southern African Power Pool, and we are spread across currently 4 different countries, which include Zambia, South Africa, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, where we do have the necessary trading licenses and domestic licenses as well. And at the same time, we are, of course, emerging in the DRC market. So that's our footprint, the footprint of Africa GreenCo. And our model is based around energy trading, which is supporting the incoming of renewable energy projects and also ensuring that these renewable projects are bankable. So how do we make renewable energy projects to be bankable, and how do we also diversify the risk of renewable energy projects? And this is why the Africa GreenCo company itself is spread across different countries, and there's an important aspect to it, which is being a member of the Southern African Power Pool, because we're actively an energy trader on the Southern African Power Pool. So the main challenges that the continent is facing currently is the issue of what's the role of each and every stakeholder in the energy sector particularly. There are many other challenges, generic ones, that we may think about. These speak of climate change, hydrology situations, speak of the intermittency of renewables. All these are challenges, but at the same time solutions. But I think it's more about who's behind how the energy sector is supposed to be deployed. So one of the biggest challenges, I would say, is aligning in terms of stakeholder participation, as well as aligning into who caters for what in the energy sector, as well as recognizing that it's a space big enough to have different players of the energy sector. So there's many various challenges, which I've stated as well, but I think the biggest one to get us to even tackle those challenges is to align on what does the energy sector space look like right now, and what's the role of each and every stakeholder. So the importance of sustainable energy and renewable energy in particular is its importance at a high level, because currently we do have population growth. What was 10 years ago is not what is today. And population growth means there's an increase in the demand of electricity. And for that reason, we then have to look for solutions. How then are we able to cater for the growing demand of electricity as well as the population growth, which are proportional to each other? So in that particular space, this is where now the type of energy landscape that we're choosing comes in. And then the transition to renewables is where it comes in as well. So I also see it being a conversation that's intertwined, and a conversation that's englobed together, to think of each and every time we're thinking of climate solutions, we also think of how then are we going to be able to address the population growth that's currently happening. A very good subject that I like to speak about is energy storage. Energy storage is an emerging, quite established in some countries, but an emerging technology that's going to facilitate the deployment of renewable energy, especially in Southern Africa. So the issue is to mostly look at it as how then do we address the storage problems for them to also contribute to the renewable energy expansion, as well as also feed into the grid in a different way. So not only seeing solutions as what could be now, but then what could be in the next 10 years. Because each and every solution that we come up with has its own incompetences. So a lot of research has to go into it. So the role of women is very important. I usually look at the role of women not being one where we're creating a platform of, but one where they are already part of the platform. They are already part of the energy mix, because this is whatever problems being faced in the energy sector is one that's affecting the population at large. And the population incorporates women and men. So when it comes for a role of women in the energy sector, particularly I'm an engineer and it's a very male-dominated field, but I do not like to see it that way, which is in turn then push people to create more opportunities for women, no. But then I think I see it as women working harder for them to level up and be at the same level and then claim their position in the energy space, which, to be honest, has been going on very well. It's a conversation that we are more or less past, as others would say, but then it still has to reflect in the term of what women bring to the table, how we tackling tasks, what voices are we including, especially in these boardrooms, in energy sector spaces. Yeah, so my message at Enlit Africa is I am part of the program, and I'm part of the program mostly in the Renewable Energy and Storage Hub. So my message is mostly when we're thinking about the transition of energy, electricity transition from what we have been using previously, could have been coal, and transitioning then to more renewable energies, solar, wind, biomass, and so on and so forth, storage inclusive. Let's not think of it as only being about the megawatts in them, but then we should think about an energy transition that should tackle each and every sector in a different way, defining roles for different stakeholders, including emerging roles that could not exist. As I said earlier on, before, energy traders did not exist as such, especially in the African energy markets. But now we have a diversified market where we now have energy traders, a lot of competitors on the market. So my main message is we do not think only about the megawatts, but we should also think how can these particular megawatts sustain the growing demand of energy, and also what are alternative solutions that we could think about, both conversations we're having here at Enlit and those that we are going to have outside Enlit, to say the main goal is sustainable energy and energy transition. So let us think about that in all the conversations that we keep having, and then also think about how do we then work together. It's not a matter of working in silos, but it's more of how does then the utility work with the private sector, how does then the private sector contribute. It becomes a whole ecosystem. So that's my main message at Enlit Africa. And I see there's a lot of returning companies, but also a lot of companies that are new, which is showing that the information is reaching globally. Like the outreach is very, very welcome, and that's important. It's very, very important.